Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. It says we're live. I'm just gonna give it a moment here to kind of get things rolling. Everything looks like we're in business. Bring up our preview here. Oh, it looks like we are good. Full screen preview. There we go. All right. What is going on? Welcome. Let's see. I got to bring the chat up here. Where's the darn chat? I lost the chat. Chat has left the building. There we go. There we go. There we go. As we get settled in here, just make this a little bigger so I can see what all of you are up to. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Home Built Workshop. Welcome to Wednesday Live. I hope you are having an awesome day. Everything is going good around here. It feels like winter again, though. We'll get to that here in a minute. You guys are here already. You beat me to it. Sam's here. Sam says, hello, everyone. Good morning, Sam. Paul. Paul's here. Good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Robert's here. Robert says, howdy, folks. Hope everyone is doing well. And Dastardly Dave is here. Dave says, sup all. What's going on? What's going on? How you guys doing today? So, today, we got a little snow last night. Oh, Robert says, audio is out of sync a bit. Well, let's just see. Seems like we get that fixed, and then we have to adjust. That is not a big deal. Let's see what we got here. So let's see. Do we need to be ahead or behind? We can go to properties. Seems as though we got things working. But that is okay. We'll fix it. As soon as I know which way to go, if any of you can tell me which way I need to adjust it. Is the audio, do I need to back it up or move it forward? Audio is ahead. Time Surfing says audio is ahead. All right. That is extremely helpful. Why is that? And why won't it let me actually change that today? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Settings. There we go. Audio is ahead, so we need to back that up. So go here. I'm going to go here. Okay. Everything is set at 0. There's no offset or anything right now, so let me know if that makes a difference. And eventually, one of these days, we're going to have everything set, and I think we're pretty close. We are close to having everything, and I believe that. Positive, right? Be positive. All right, let's see. Sam asks, did you ponder that idea from last week? Haven't been able to make anything due to not having time to go to the hardware store. I've pondered about it a little bit, Sam. Again, just trying to understand what you were talking about. I really like that thought and kind of where you were going with that. I really need to just get a couple of little things to kind of play with the idea. Really, maybe I could 3D print something just to mess around with too. But yeah, I did not forget about that. Thought about it a little bit, and yeah, I just gotta spend a little bit more time trying to figure that out. Robert says sound seems to be ahead. Okay, so I backed it up. It says audio is still ahead. Okay, well, let's change it again. Let's change it again. We'll do that. Pretty large swing there. Let's see if that makes a difference. Donna's here. Donna says, good morning. Coffee up. Donna, good morning. Coffee up. Cheers, everyone. Hope you got some tasty coffee or something like that to get you going. Definitely need it here this morning. It's 20-something degrees this morning, an inch or two of snow overnight, and the roads were a nightmare. Trying to get over to school, to take the kiddo to school. It was terrible. It was like an ice skating rink. But anyway, we got some hot coffee. We're going to hang out for a while, and it's going to be a good day. Let's see. Tony's here. Tony says, morning, sunshine. Good morning, Tony. What's going on in your world? Paul says, you're synced up now. Nice. Right on. It's weird how we go from like being way ahead to way behind in order to keep things in sync. Robert says, that looks pretty good now. Time Surfing says, looks good now. Almost right. Right on. Right on. So I'm glad we got that figured out. And part of that reason, and I need to give an anonymous shout out, because we're using a whole new camera here, a whole different camera. An anonymous viewer sent me this camera, this webcam to use. And for that, I got to say, truly, thank you. Thank you so much. It was the craziest thing. I got a notification from the post office that I had a package. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have a package. And so I went to the post office, picked this up, and lo and behold, because I've been having so many issues, we now have a different webcam here. And actually, it's awesome. The quality is great. And yeah, it was super easy to set up. So far, so good. So I got to give an anonymous thank you to the viewer that sent this. Super awesome, and I truly do appreciate it so much. I just can't say thank you enough. So right on. A big anonymous thumbs up. So anyway, that's why we had to make these changes, because last week I got it all set to work with the webcam that I was using. But now we got this one, and that's why we had to make the adjustments. So I think we're good now. So anyway, let's see. Time Surfing says, looks good now. Almost right. Robert says, looks pretty good now. Dastardly Dave says, wow, cool. Yeah, it's awesome. Mike says, looks excellent. What kind of webcam? Okay, so this is an Insta360. I believe it's the Link. I don't have the box out here. Link 2. It's super cool because it'll do the tracking. Like you can do like hand gestures, and it'll do tracking. So now watch this. Now that the tracking is on, like I can walk around, and it'll just follow me. How awesome is that? I mean, it's super cool. It'll just follow you around. I had it turned off because when I'm sitting here, if I move around, it wants to track, and I don't want anyone to get seasick. But it's super awesome. It does 4K video. Of course, we're not streaming it in 4K, but I'm using the 4K resolution on it right now to send into OBS, and then OBS is converting it into 1080. So that's what we're using at the moment. But it's like super cool. You can like do zoom and stuff like that, and the words are still right side up. It's super awesome. So, but you do like hand gestures to turn stuff on and off. So now you turn off like the syncing or the tracking. So anyway, but yeah, that's pretty awesome. Time Surfing says, awesome. Thanks, Anonymous. Yeah. And Donna, throwing out the heart. Sam says, video and sound are in synchronization. Don't adjust it. Jeffafa. Time Surfing says, I don't know if I can get used to everything synced up. Well, come on. I know. We're going to get used to it, and it's going to be fine. But what? Yeah. Jimmer's here. Jimmer, what's going on, buddy? Jimmer says, McLaren oil change today. Jim always gets the cool stuff at the shop. Either the super cool cars like the supercars like that, or he'll get like this super like involved, have to change a blend door in a car and you have to remove like the entire interior. It's either like a wildly in-depth job or it's a supercar. It's pretty awesome. Corey says, yeah, you can stream in 4K with OBS. Yes, you can, I think. But you got to have the internet, the bandwidth for it. I barely have the bandwidth for 1080. And I believe that's why I have a little bit of issues from time to time with dropped frames and things. I do not have the bandwidth for. I'm like right on the line. So 4K I don't think would work whatsoever. Harry Dude's here. Harry Dude says, "What's up?" Hey folks, Harry Dude, what's going on? Tony says, "Nice cam. I can read my sticker behind you." Yeah. Yeah, it's right there. Let's see. Jimmer says, came here because oil change at the dealer is $5,000. What? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Time Surfing says, meanwhile in Alabama, TSA is still getting air out of his clutch. Oh, gotcha. TSA, I'm like, is that like the airport people, the security, whatever? But TSA, Time Surfing Alien, yep. Sometimes you just need a little more coffee. You got me. You got me on that one. It took me a second. So anyway, Sam, how fast would a gas-powered ride-on mower cut grass if it was fitted with nitro? I don't think your speed wouldn't change. You could, if all you did was put that in the tank, I don't think anything would change because you're still stuck with the same gearing, and it's still governed, right? So you'd have to take the governor off the engine or something like that. I mean, you might get a little more power out of it, but that's not necessarily going to translate to speed because it's still governed, and you still have the same gearing. Take the governor off, that might make a big difference, but I think if that's all you did, I don't think you'd see a whole lot of difference. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Anyway, let's see. So what's everybody working on? What kind of projects have you been doing? You know, it's like I said here, we got the weather. The weather's moved in. But the last week or so, the weather's been really nice. I've been busy. Been busy. Remember I've been talking about the sandpaper cabinet? Ooh, we could do this. And I can show you what I've been working on. Here's my sand. Oh, you can't see it. It's because I stood up. So I'd have to like duck down. Here it is. I got it all done. Finished this up the other day. Got the video edited yesterday. And yeah, it's super cool. We got, you know, all kinds of little shelves in here for different grits of sandpaper. I don't have that mess of sandpaper that I've had before. And it's super nice. 3D printed some little plastic label things. These are just extra ones up here. But, you know, they just kind of slip on over the edge of the plywood. I can move them around, mix and match. Super nice. Can tell at a glance which ones actually I don't have. I don't have any 220. I thought for sure I did. But now that it's organized, now I can tell exactly what we have going on. So got this done. This will be the video that comes out, not this coming weekend, but it'll be the following weekend will be this video. So I'm a little bit ahead right now, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool spot to be. I'm not like super ahead, but I do have this weekend's video done and next weekend's video done, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, this thing came out really good. You know, not super fancy. I didn't even do any sort of edge banding or anything along the plywood. Just, you know, just a functional little shop cabinet. I think it's going to go up there. I don't know if you can tell that I've sort of changed or cleaned that off a little bit. I think this I'm going to put up there, at least for now. Just kind of play around with where it's going to live. But yeah, what a difference that's going to make for keeping the sandpaper organized. I don't have to mess with that messy stack that I had. So that's what I've been working on the last few days. And I should have done it years ago, really. I mean, what a difference. For a simple little shop project, that thing, yeah. Super cool. All right. Ugh. Look, it's following me. And then like the hand gesture thing is kind of cool. Well, when I get my hand in the right spot. Oh, now I can't. I don't know why. Anyway. Oh, let's see. Time Surfing says, probably wouldn't mow much before exploding. Well, that is a possibility. Corey says, all you have to do is back the governor out, then you get more speed, and that's with any gas-burning vehicle with a gas carburetor. Yes, absolutely. That's what I was saying. You know, if you didn't change anything else, and all you did was added the nitro, or changed out the fuel, I don't think you'd see a whole. I don't think you'd see much of a difference. So, But yeah, you'd have to mess with the governor gearing something in order to get a little more out of it. Robert says, I still contend that all car designers and engineers should be forced to work as mechanics to see how messed up a lot of their design ideas are. Yes, 100%. I absolutely agree with that. And I'm sure Jim does too. Some of the stuff is so ridiculous. You know, that they... Oh, I just threw my remote control for the camera on the floor. Not this camera, my actual camera. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Some of the things they come up with. Like, on my particular vehicle, right? It's four-wheel drive, but the front differential, or maybe it's the drive shaft, I can't remember. One of them goes literally through the oil pan. Not like a bump, like a cutout around the oil pan, literally through. The oil pan is... What? I mean, who? Why would anybody design something like that? It's absolutely crazy. And I'm sure Jim could tell us stories like that for hours and hours and hours of dumb things. But yeah, it's crazy. Heritage says, that looks remarkably like my pickguard sheet storage shelf thing I built. Very similar design. Ooh. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you got separate design or separate shelves for different pickguard sheets. Yeah. Yeah, this really, for something that's not, it is not really difficult to build. That's one of those projects that it makes the value added by building this, I feel, is way above, how am I trying to say this? It's super simple to build, and the value you get out of it is way higher. And it's totally worth making something like that. Jimmer says, I need that sandpaper organizer. And Dastardly Dave says, I need that. My sandpaper is a stack, but it's an order. My sandpaper was also a stack. But it was a disaster. All different grits, all different things. And when I want to find a piece, you know, some of mine was, you know, I'd buy those multi-packs, you know, so that it comes with 80, 120, 220 kind of thing. And then I would buy some that were fixed packs, you know, all, say, 400 grit. So in order to find something, it's not like I had a separate pack for each one. Some of them I did, but some of them were also half-used multi-packs. Like, I had a bunch of this purple stuff, which came in a multi-pack, you know, of like 80, 100, 220, you know, all kinds of different grits. So it was just a disaster trying to find the one that I need. And then it's all just stored in a pile because I didn't really have a great place to store it. No longer. There's Jimmer. Jimmer says, don't get me started, Robert. Paul says to Jim, understand, used to have a Maserati Gran Turismo. Oil changes were very pricey when I had it. Oof. Dastardly Dave, just make a car engineer change a headlight bulb. Yes. Sam, I bet Tim from Home Improvement Show could make a nitro mower go bang. Oh, oh, oh. I used to like that show. Yeah, and he is a car guy. Paul, that's why I have a Harley now. Just put it on my stand, 10 minutes, $30 later, oil change, done. Nice. Corey, with their four-wheel drives, the front drive shaft runs along the oil pan, and that's for Fords and Chevys. Dodges are that way, maybe a few other vehicle manufacturers. Not mine. Mine is a Chevy. Mine's a Chevy, and I think, well, the drive shaft runs along, but I think it's the front differential, actually, that goes through the oil pan. I'm trying to picture it. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it's the front drive, no, or the front CV axle. There you go. It runs through the drive shaft. I know I can't even talk. I'm all mixed up. Runs through the oil pan. It's absolute crazy design. Paul, I need to build something for my sandpaper also. It's just thrown in a cabinet at the moment and is definitely not organized. It sounds remarkably similar to the setup that I had. Time surfing at the cabinet shop I worked at was owned by a retired military guy. Sandpaper was organized with stackable file holders. Yeah, same kind of idea, basically. These are just hardboard dividers. You know, they just fit in some, just a saw curve is all I put on there. Holds everything nice and neat. It works awesome. Robert says the old Pontiac Fiero, when they went to the V6 motor to change the spark plugs on the side closest to the back seat, had to drop the motor in order to do the change. Wow. I don't know what it is about those Fieros. I still like those. I always did. And I don't know why I still do, but there's a little part of me that still likes those and still kind of wants one. I used to want one when I was a kid. I thought they were like the coolest thing. But yeah, I kind of want to, part of me still wants to find one. Don't know if I want to drop the motor. Actually, it'd be kind of fun to drop that motor and put a small block in there. That'd be kind of fun. And look who's here. Sam Packin's here. Sam Packin says, hey, how's everyone? Sorry I'm late. No worries, Rick. Welcome. How's your day going? How's everything going? While I'm sitting here drinking coffee, I want you guys to let me know what sort of projects you're working on. What's on the workbench today? Sam, have you seen the DeWalt sheet steel power shears? Not sure if other brands do the same. I've not seen them, Sam. But sounds pretty cool. I've seen probably something similar, like little nibblers that, you know, buzz along and cut the like sheet metal and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Rick says, or asks, what have I missed? We've just been catching up on stuff. Been talking about this project that I finished up here just a few days ago. Keep my sandpaper organized. It's gonna be a project video coming out in a week or so. And yeah, that's where we're at. Oh, I got an announcement. Well, I mean, we have kind of talked about it a little bit, but we are signed up for the 2025 Colorado Guitar Show and Custom Luthiers Expo. That's going to be actually not this weekend, it's next weekend in Denver, Colorado. I will be there with a handful of guitars, and you know, we'll have the space set up. So we are officially registered, got everything taken care of for that paperwork, and yeah, next Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday, April 13th. So if you're in the Denver area or can make it to the Denver area, it is a great time to come on out and see a bunch of guitars from a bunch of different makers, luthiers, or really if you want to just come out and meet and greet kind of thing, we'll hang out. And you can play some of my guitars. So I got to throw that out. We're going to start promoting that. We got a little over a week and a half. So yeah, it's going to be fun. So really between now and then, I got to go through those guitars that I'm taking, make sure everything's good. You know, I don't have to, a couple of them have been kind of in storage, not in storage, but they kind of been sitting a little bit. So I got to make sure, you know, fret ends and all that stuff are nice and clean and smooth. So I'll probably over the next few days, that's probably what I'll be working on, since I am a tiny bit ahead on video stuff. So I'll probably be working on the getting those guitars ready. So again, April 13th, Denver, Colorado, the Colorado Guitar Show. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, so if anybody's in the area, it'd be great to come on out and hang out. You can hang out at the table or something. Let's see. Robert says, I like them as well. Yeah, I don't know what it is about those Fieros. There's just something cool that I enjoyed. Sent back and says, all good. I'm fixing and set it up a cheap guitar. Right on. Dastardly Dave says, I miss my older F350. Easier to work on compared to the Super Duty I have now. Yeah, they just keep getting more and more complicated. Jimmer says, Fiero tune-up can be done in the car, but not fun. I can imagine that. Harry Dude says, on the workbench, a whole heap of crap, because I'm still moving house and workshop. Not exactly going to plan. Well, Harry Dude, I'm sorry to hear that. I was hoping everything was going to go nice and smooth, but here's to the rest of it going smooth. I hope the rest of it goes well. But you'll get it. You'll get it. Again, I wish I could come down and help. That'd be awesome. Corey says, what year is the Chevy pickup or vehicle? That's a SUV. It's a 2007. So not super new, but yeah, 2007. It's a Trailblazer. Time Surfing says, a little too far of a drive. I know, it's a long ways, especially for like Sam or Harry Dude to make it to the guitar show. But yeah, I'm just, got to throw it out there. If anybody's in the area, in the Denver area or within driving distance, and you want to attend the show, I'd love to be able to, meet up with any of you. So it'd be super cool. Sam says, I think I know why Americans call it lumber, to save on the embarrassment of asking a store if they got wood. Good safety word. I mean, it is helpful. I can see that. Dave says, I'll send friends to your booth if I hear they are going. Right on. Thanks, Dave. I don't know where we'll be. It's at a new location. It's at the Stock Show complex somewhere around, I believe it's I-25 and I-70 area. So northern Denver. At least to me, it's called, I call it northern Denver, but if you're from Denver, it's probably called something different because there's like 45 different parts of Denver, and to me, it's all the same. So sorry if you're from Denver. Pretty much once you're past Castle Rock, in my mind, it's Denver. Let's see. Jimmer says, Trailblazer front diff is through the pan. A few others do it now too. Yeah, it's silly. Why? Robert says, the Fiero, not really a family type of car, but for two, they seem like they would be fun to drive. Yes, yes. I remember as a kid, my dad always did like auto body and paint and stuff like that. And for some reason, he had a Fiero there. Like, I don't know if it was something he had bought to sell or flip or something like that. But anyway, he had this Fiero. Of course, it's a two-seater. Well, we'd gotten a winter storm. I'm totally going off track here just to tell a little story. But we'd gotten a snowstorm. I don't know how old I was. 12? I don't know, somewhere around there. And but he needed to run to town for something. And my brother and I wanted to take the Fiero. And my dad's like, all right, whatever. So, of course, there's only two seats. So there's three of us in there. Like, my brother's like on the back dash or something, or, the back thing, whatever it is, or crunched behind the seats. I don't remember exactly how it was set up. But anyway, he wasn't in one of the seats. But this was back in the day, right? You didn't have to wear seat belts. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. But we're like going down the road in this thing in like inches of snow. I don't remember how much, but we hit this icy spot on this curve, and we like did a complete 360 in the road, and like somehow didn't go in the ditch, and scared the you-know-what out of us, at least out of me and my brother. But yeah, that's my Fiero adventures. We made it fine, but other than that little thing. Sam says, I'm not swimming across the pond to see a show. Sam, you don't have to swim. Take a canoe. Much easier than swimming. Jim says, Fiero is more fun with the 3.8 supercharged. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, I can imagine that. Time Surfing says, been all over the USA and a lot of the world. Never been to Colorado. Strange. Yep, it's, that is strange. Seems like you'd cut through it no matter where you're going, but. Dave says, I've done 5 people in a first-gen RX-7 in my youth. I think we've done 3 or 4. Yeah, for sure. I remember that. Oh, the things we used to do back in the day when you could not even have to worry about it. Alrighty. So, what's on the workbench? So we already talked about this. This is coming off the workbench. It's only on the workbench so I could show it to all of you. It's going up there for now till I figure out if that's where I want it to be or not. Got a couple locations in mind, but we're going to try it up there. Got some scraps and things to clean up. I got a table saw blade that I need to, I got to switch back over. to cut all of these rabbits on here, I actually swapped out my table saw blade. Normally I run a combination blade, but if if you're familiar with a combination blade, maybe not all of them, but all the ones I've ever used, the teeth are ground at an angle, right? So one cuts on the right, one cuts on the left, and you're left with a little triangle thingy of wood. But I would, if it's just a few, it's not too hard to clean up. But, I got rabbits here. I got, the back is inset in some rabbits. So cutting all those grooves, I didn't want to have to clean up all of those, so I swapped the blade out. And that's also what I use to cut the grooves for these dividers. It's 1/8" kerf, saw kerf right there. So I got to switch the blade back. This is the one I almost always have on there. It's just a combination thin kerf blade. But so I just got to finish cleaning up a little bit because I got stuff like that left over from this project. And then I'm not sure what we're going to get onto next, to be completely honest. I've been brainstorming some ideas, trying to figure out what I have in stock, like for materials and stuff like that. And we'll figure out something. Just not sure what that's going to be yet. But yeah, just got to finish getting some stuff cleaned up here, and then on to the next, whatever that ends up being. Jimmer says, swim. Don't they have airships like the Hindenburg? Hindenburg, yeah, good idea. I hear those work out really well. Sam says, too many exposed G-strings at guitar shows, but at least a guitarist can legally pluck it, every one of them, without breaking the law. I mean, true. Robert says, the only time I've been in Colorado, when I was flying to the Philippines, spent a few hours waiting in the airport on a layover. Was that Denver? Denver Airport? It is one of the cooler airports that I've seen, with like the tent roof thing. It's pretty cool. Paul says, I didn't see any rabbits just then. Curious, as pets or as meat rabbits? Yeah, I had some fun with that in the video too. So not this weekend, next weekend when the video comes out, we're going to have a little fun with that. There, you got the inside scoop. I'm not going to tell you what exactly, but yes. Rick says, Denver Airport has a few strange stories and conspiracy theories. Yes, I've heard some of them too. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so it's just interesting to see what some of the theories are, but yeah. Time surfing. I had a 12-hour layover in the Philippines when I flew back from Malaysia. Airport was nice. Interesting. Robert says, yes, Denver Airport. Yeah, it's such a cool airport, really. Jimmer says, Jeff used to have a rabbit. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Surprised you remember that rabbit. There was like a guinea pig too at one point, but I don't know what ever happened to it. It just disappeared one day. I don't know where it ever went. Paul says, that video will put you over 100K. This one? You think so? It says, better start making room for your plaque. Oh yeah, maybe up there. Jim says, did you take the rabbit? Really? I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. That's funny. Named it Stu, he said. Time surfing. Does I had a Volkswagen Rabbit in my youth? Yeah, I remember those. Oh boy. Anyway, Sam, have you ever used Airbauer tools? No. I think the name I've heard, but I've not used any of them, no. Sam Packin's laughing at us. Yeah, we're a little off topic, but that's okay. It's open topic, so we don't really have one. Jim says, gave to Michelle at college. Really? I truly do not remember that. That's funny. But there's a lot of stuff about that era that I don't really need to remember. Paul says, we bought 20 rabbits to start raising meat rabbits, but the wife thought they were too cute to eat, so had to rehome them. That's the problem, right? And that's the hard part when you're raising anything for meat. You cannot break the it's meat barrier. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with all of them. It's really a challenge. Jimmer says, remember Dad had several of the Volkswagen Rabbits. Yep, I remember those. That's funny. I'm looking at the preview, and man, it looks pretty good. It looks awesome, actually. It's pretty. The quality looks great, and all that. So, 2 thumbs up. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, Paul. The rabbit video. I don't know. Maybe it will. But you know what? You know what video was surprising? Sort of surprising. Not surprising, but the last one I posted. Did you guys see that one about carrying a pocket knife? Why I think everybody should carry a pocket knife. You know, a little departure from the project building stuff, but I've been trying to do a little bit more here and there of the, you know, talking head style, you know, just sharing thoughts and things on different stuff. And that's honestly one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. You know, why I think everybody should carry a pocket knife. That video is doing really well. So thank you to all of you that have watched that video, that have commented on that video, that have hit the thumbs up on that video. And if you haven't yet, go check it out, because it's doing way better than than I expected. So I just want to say thanks to all of you for helping make that video go over so well. So hopefully, Paul, maybe the rabbit video will do as good as that one. That would be amazing. Let's see. Jim says diesel's got 60 miles per gallon. Time surfing. Good thing I was raised in the country. Only thing that isn't meat are dogs and cats. Yeah, I was raised that way too, my friend. Robert says the only VWs I think kind of look cool are the VW Thing and the Carbon Ghia. So those are both the ones that are not my favorite. Sam says, when painting with white paint, use a UV light to check where the fresh and cured paint is. It actually works. I used it when painting the bathroom to ensure full coat on all walls. Interesting. I've not ever tried anything like that. I'll have to keep that in mind. Time Surfing says, Leroy Jethro Gibbs rule number 9, never go anywhere without a knife. You know, people kept mentioning that Gibbs rule, and I had to look it up because I don't know what it is. And turns out it's, I don't know. Yeah, there's all kinds of really good things there. But I don't know why I'm not familiar with that, with Gibbs. I guess I don't watch TV or something. I don't know. But yes, never go anywhere without a knife. I have 2 of them on me right at this exact moment. Corey, the barbecue rabbit sounds good right now. And he says, Paul, when I used to live in Wisconsin with my parents, we used to raise 1,200 rabbits for meat and for the fur to ship to the butcher. 1,200, that's a lot of rabbits. Wow. Time Surfing says, for sure, the rabbit was not a cool car. Jim says, I don't know. Dog makes pretty good meal. Quote from the movie Patriot. Time Surfing NCIS. Yes. Yeah, I had to look it up. I didn't have a clue. I didn't know who the guy was, and quite a few people commented that same thing on that video, and I'm like, what is this from that I'm not aware of? Robert asked, did you not watch the TV show NCIS? Nope. I literally do not watch TV. I mean, it is rare that I'm up on a TV show. I don't know. Let's see. But I do agree with the rules, though. I did read through the list. I agree with them. Yeah, they totally make sense. I just wasn't aware. But now I know. Paul says, been overseas, almost everything was on the menu. Sam says, the knife is the cutting edge of technology and everyone has the point. I mean, you're not wrong. Time Surfing? Yep. Most things are on the menu. Sam says, Jeff used a hand crank to turn on his TV. I mean, yeah. You'd have to crank it if you wanted to watch TV. I'd be down with that. You'd get a workout at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, it's rare. Half the time I don't even know how to turn it on. And not because I'm tech illiterate. I just don't use it. I literally don't use it. Like maybe, I was going to say once a week. It's not even once a week that I turn it on. It might, it might get turned on, but with me turning it on, I'm just weird like that. I just don't. Robert says NCIS still showing his reruns on some channels. Ah. Yep, kind of funny. When was that show on? Like, I remember the name. Sent back and says, I had a story about me raising kids, but I was limited on my keystrokes. Is that normal? I don't know. You might have to do it in a couple of parts, a couple of messages, a couple of comments. I'm not sure how long it gives you. Let's see. Time Servant says, I remember a movie where they had to pedal bikes to watch TV. Why does that sort of sound familiar? See, it's something like that I'd be totally okay with. You got a bicycle, it's hooked up to like a generator or something, and you have to pedal it in order to be able to do whatever you need to do. I could get behind that. Paul says, sorry, been away for 3 weeks. Had an accident in the shop. Almost lost a thumb on the left hand. Son set down a Dremel with cutting blade on router table. It took off and ran over my hand. Oh my gosh, Paul. I don't believe I was aware of that. Ay, ay, ay. So he was cutting and he set it down and it just went zzz. Oh, man. Paul, I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that you didn't lose anything. Wow. That is not good. Not good. But glad you're okay. Glad, everything's, it could have been worse. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see how, just a little mistake like that, right? 'Cause it's just how quickly something like that could take off. But man, glad you're okay. Very thankful. Time Servant says, Mark Harmon, NCIS, great show. Sam says, YouTube gives you 200 characters. Oh, gotcha. Here, dude, NCIS is a spin of JAG, 20 plus seasons, still going. But wow, I remember that show JAG. Wasn't that back in that was back in the 90s, wasn't it? I sort of remember that. Sempakin, OMG, Paul. Paul, yep. Oh, yeah. Robert says, I have an emergency hand crank radio for when weather is bad. There you go. Yeah. Jimmer, dang, Paul. Yeah. Paul, again, glad you're all right. Got the Paul says, healed up now. Got stitches out later. Good. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Not that it happened, but that everything's okay. So be safe, guys. You're working with stuff. Just it's just take it as a reminder, I guess. It's super unfortunate that Paul got hurt. But again, glad that everything's okay. Could have been a lot worse, but let's just take that as a reminder, right? Sometimes we just need a little safety reminder from time to time. When there's like a close call or something like that, just be careful when you're working on stuff. I want everybody to keep all your extremities and not get hurt and everything. So just be aware, right, of what's going on. And, if you're working with somebody else, how your actions could affect somebody else. And, I'm not trying to yell at anybody or anything like that here. I'm just saying when things like that happen for me, I get to thinking and I use that as kind of a reminder. And I think we probably all need to do that from time to time and just kind of check yourself. I'm not going to finish that, but I'll let one of you finish it down in the comments. Just to be safe, right? I want everybody to just pay attention, be aware. I think Rick said it, be aware and slow down. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everybody be safe working with stuff, no matter what it is. Yeah. Could have been worse, and glad it wasn't. Sam says, I always remove the power from power tools whenever they aren't being used. That's also a good idea. Yeah, there's a ton of good idea. A hair dude says, do you still have a son? Oh, no. Time Surfing, a friend of mine had a girlfriend, in the pilot of JAG. She was also in a pilot for Hollywood Nights. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Paul says, "Yep, Terry, dude." Yeah, I would too. I mean, stuff happens. It's unfortunate, but I'm sure he didn't intend for anything to happen. You just, all it takes is a second, right? Paul says, "Cut to the bone. Didn't hit ligaments or tendons. Surprised how quickly hospital reacts to those type of injuries. I thought I was safe since I have a saw stop. Need a sun stop instead." Oh boy. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Sam's got a sort of a valid question here. It says, "For safety reasons, should a workshop have the minimum of 2 people just in case anything happens? Then one person would come to the aid." Well, in theory, Sam, I think that's a great idea if you work in a shop with more than one person. For me, here, I never am working on stuff with more than one person, and for me to have, there's zero chance I could have somebody come in here. The idea is good, I think, but it's not feasible, especially for someone like myself and a lot of us, who are the ones that are just working in our shops, right? Just on our own. We just, in the evenings or weekends or whatever. I don't know anybody really, except for, like the YouTube channels that have people following them around with cameras, right? Me and most of us, we're not going to have a second person in here. I think in that instance, what's important is you got to have first aid knowledge and first aid kit, and some supplies right here on hand. There's some things you need to keep. Maybe that's a video. Stuff that you got to keep on hand. You got to have some sort of, I hate to say it, but you got to have a tourniquet, right? If you have a table saw accident and you're by yourself in your shop, you got to be able to handle those sorts of things. And just a little more than a basic first aid kit, right? You gotta be able to take care of yourself while you can get, to what's the word? Not triage that I'm trying to say, but you got to take care of your whatever it is. If I cut my hand on the dang table saw, I got to take care of that so I can get to the hospital because it's just me. You just got to be prepared with both the first aid knowledge and the first aid kit that has all the supplies that you might need. You got to think about what is in your shop, what sort of injuries. Worst case is table saw, in my opinion. I mean, that's worse. I don't have a saw stop. So if I come in contact with this thing while it's spinning, it's bad. It's a bad day. So I think for a lot of us, that's what we need to, we probably need to be a little more prepared, including myself. I need to go through and do an inventory of my first aid kit. I do have one in here, but it's not a I don't even know. I've got some large bandages. Do I have something to tourniquet? I don't know, but I think that's more important. So, but the idea of having a second person was great. Just not a lot of us could pull that off. Robert says to Paul, "I feel your pain. Back in high school shop class, I tangled with a table saw that clipped my left thumb. Oh my gosh. Happened so fast, it did not even hurt. That is until they changed the bandage." Wow. Robert, I'm glad that wasn't so bad. Sam Packin, in answer to Sam, "My wife is usually upstairs most times if something ever happened. Not that she could handle a lost finger." Yeah. But there is somebody there if there was a problem. Jimmer says, "Been there, Paul. Cutting a car part with the Dremel, and it slipped off and went into my hand below the thumb into the palm. Owner passed out when they seen it." Yikes. Robert, "One of those supposedly non-stick bandages stuck right where a nerve cluster was and moved as the cut happened." Yikes. Paul says, "I have a first aid kit in the shop and keep a full kit on my motorcycle also." Yes. I mean, I think that's a lot of the things, right? I got to write that down because I think that would be a good video, just to touch on points of being prepared in the shop. First aid kit. Yeah, I like that. I really do. Because I know I need to double check some things in mine as well. I have a drawer right over here in one of my little toolboxes that's for, safety, first aid, and that sort of thing. I got stuff like gloves and first aid kits and tweezers and, earplugs, that sort of thing, anything sort of safety, PPE type stuff. But I got to make sure that I have all the supplies needed in there. Time serving, my years in a cabinet shop made me a wound care expert. My wife, an RN, said once I was better at it than her. Yeah. Sent packing, I knew of a guy that cut his thumb off in a remote area. He stuck it in a salt shaker, apparently to stop the bleed. Not sure how true the story is, but what I heard. Interesting. Jimmer says, considering getting Narcan kit due to all the customers smoking whatever in their vehicles now. Oh man, yeah. You might be, yeah, interesting. Never thought about that. Paul's my son learned first aid as a scout, so we applied everything and we went to the hospital. Yeah, that's where I learned a lot, right? So I was in scouts and you learn a lot of that stuff. But, you know, if you don't keep up on it or keep, you know, if you don't stick with be prepared, right? Yeah, you still got to be prepared, even if you're not in scouts. Robert says, I do still have the full thumb, just a jagged scar across the end joint. I'm glad that it grew back. That's a good thing. Rick says, first aid kit. I'm gonna put one together. Yes, that's what I gotta go through mine. I'm gonna make a video on that. I think that's a good topic. Sam says, whenever using a power saw of any kind, I attach a grip clamp to the material to prevent it from flying, but also so that the tactile grip acts as a place to guarantee my other hand is away from blades. Yes, so you're not trying to hold on to stuff. So when I was building this, that's a good example, Sam. When I was making this, I was able to rip these down to width on the table saw, barely. You'll see in the video. But to cross cut them to length, I ended up using my circular saw and like a speed square, because I don't have the cross cut capacity to get that kind of length on my table saw. While using the circular saw and trying to hold the speed square to keep the saw cut straight, I clamped the stuff down so that it wouldn't move, which is exactly what you're saying. Because if you're trying to hold the material smooth or still while holding a clamp in place to keep your saw running square and you're running the saw, there's just, you're trying to do too many things at once. And that's when accidents can happen. So by, you know, if you can clamp stuff down to basically sort of free up a hand, I mean, that's all better. That's a lot better. Jimmer says, super glue, duct tape, and electrical tape. You got it all covered. Paul says, I spent 3 years before the military as an EMT on a fire department. I always have a full first aid kit with me, no matter what I'm doing or where I'm working. Yeah, I have one. I have one in the car, and I have one in the shop, and of course we have stuff in the house. So I always have. It may, you know, there may be things that one has that one doesn't have, but I feel that, you know, we're pretty prepared for a lot of things. Maybe not every single instance, no matter where we are, whether I'm here, you know, if we're out driving or something like that, we always try to have stuff with us of some sort. Time surfing. Cut my right thumb on a table saw. Still have my thumb, but it's an 1/8 inch narrower than my left. Good grief. Man, you guys are, whew, I am glad everyone's still got all their digits. Here, dude, insulation tape and paper towels and a Band-Aid floating around somewhere. There you go. See, I mean, that's all you need, right? Paper towels, and then wrap that sucker with tape. You're good to go. Paul, I bought the saw stop after building a jewelry box for the wife and didn't like how close I had to get to the blade when cutting some thin stock. Worked at Rockler at the moment, so I got a good discount. Nice. Sam, the grip acts as a mental indicator that the hand is away from danger. Yeah, if you're hanging onto the saw or the tool or whatever, that hand is not going to get into the blade. It's just not. And you know, when you're trying to hold the stock, to your point, instead of clamping it down, like that puts more, I don't know, that hand is out there doing stuff. So if you can get it back out of the way, yeah. Time surfing, 3 first aid kits in the house, 1 in the car, 1 on the bike. Yeah, see? Nice. I'm glad to hear that you guys have the first aid kits, because I do believe that's important, you know, having the proper things. But I'm thinking about it more, though, like, if I were to really, you know, if something happened here, I don't know if I have stuff like a tourniquet in here. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if I needed to, I could just use my belt, but I think it might be better to have that sort of stuff. I'm gonna have to look, see what I got. But yeah, I think like I said, I think while it's terrible that sounds like several of you guys, and Paul, you guys had accidents that were kind of bad, pretty bad. It's just a reminder to just look at our own situation. At least that's how I take it anyway. So now it's got me thinking, make sure we're more prepared and working safely. Robert says, back when I was in middle school, I lived next to a really old carpenter that had lost 3 of his 4 fingers and his thumb on his right hand. He was in his late 80s or early 90s. Wow. When I was in school, I rode the bus, and my bus driver, Jim, this was at SHS. My bus driver there was missing about like this, something along those lines of these 2 fingers. I believe it was these 2. I don't think it was just the pinky. I think it was these 2. Apparently it had some sort of farming accident. But yeah, he didn't have all of them on. I'm pretty sure it was his right hand. I don't know if you, Jim, or if you knew who that was, but I think I remember his name. But yeah, I mean, you just never know. Time surfing. Also, I have 3-day emergency kit in the car: water, dehydrated food, etc. Yeah, I have water. I don't have a bunch of dehydrated food. If I'm going out and about farther than like taking the kiddo to school, that sort of thing, I would have more in there. But I do have water. I got stuck in a snowstorm once, about 2015, so 10-ish years ago, somewhere around there. I don't remember. I was working in town, and I'd gotten off of work early because it was snowing pretty bad, but I got halfway home and they closed the road because it was literally whiteout conditions, and I was stuck on the highway for not the highway, but stuck on the road trying to get home for 7 hours. I couldn't do anything. You couldn't go anywhere because traffic, nothing was moving, and you could barely see the car that was 4 feet in front of you, and we just sat there. And all I had with me really was this. And I think this was empty or very close to it. But yeah, ever since then, I always make sure I got water, at least a couple of little snacks, maybe a pack of peanuts or, just something, some beef jerkies, anything, just for a little extra, because you never know. I sat there for 7 hours, which is, not that bad, I guess. When you think of some people get stuck in snowstorms overnight or days, I was only there for 7 hours. I got home later that evening. But, I mean, that made just that little incident, which wasn't really, honestly, it wasn't even life or death. It wasn't critical for me. I was just stuck. Or not even stuck. Just stopped. But just that made me think, and I always make sure I do things a little bit different. Have water and, a little bit of snacks and stuff like that. Sam says, have you seen those ridiculously dangerous disc saws from Temu? They need to be banned. Yes, they do. Those are horrible. With the chainsaw teeth, is that the ones you're talking about? Those are bad. Those are bad. Don't ever use one of those. Jimmer says, I think so, but don't remember the name. Yeah, he drove my bus. I don't remember what bus I rode. But yeah. Robert says, that old guy could still swing a mean carpenter's hammer with that right hand. Time surfing, years of traveling taught me a thing or two. Old habits, hard to break. Yeah. Robert says, I agree with you, Sam. Sam says, if a highway is on the ground, should it be called a lowway or groundway? Yeah, it's like you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway. I don't know. Dreamy Liquid, 25 years in the ER. Seen many fingers brought to ER in Ziploc bags and mangled hands from table saws. Buy good push blocks. Yes, that's another good one. Push blocks. Do not ever try to push stuff through your saw with your hand. I mean, when you have to get anywhere near close to the blade, use push blocks, push sticks, sleds of anything. Whatever you can use to keep your hands away. Yeah, good call. push blocks. Very important in the shop. Paul says, almost bought one of the chainsaw grinder attachments, then saw the Stumpy Nubs video where he almost lost his hands. Yeah, I saw that too. And yeah, in theory, like when you see it at first, you're like, oh, that looks super cool. I bet that would work really good, right? Yeah. Whew. Jim says, I remember you getting stuck in snow. You were close to home too, if I remember right. Yeah, I was about 6 miles away from home or so. So not that far. On a normal day, not even a 10, well, maybe 10 minutes. No, probably not even a 10-minute drive from where I had to sit for 7 hours. But they literally closed the road. You could not see. Like when you think of whiteout conditions, or you see, blizzard type stuff in the movies, this is what it was. There's one section of the road on the way home that whenever the wind is blowing, this section is always white out. It's just whoosh, and you can't see a thing. It was crazy. But yeah, I was not far from home. Paul says, I own a gripper push block, make my own push sticks out of wood, never use the plastic ones. Yeah, I use wood. I have one that, it's got the handle shape and all that, but then for my other hand, I just grab any old scrap. Like, I can reach right here. I just grab any old scrap of wood. And I use that, I got my push stick here, and yeah, always. Robert says, also try real hard to keep the safety guards on angle grinders, especially when using one of the cutoff discs. Yeah, I have the metal half moon guard on my grinder. Thankfully, they rotate around so you can kind of get it out of your way. That's the only way I haven't taken it off. Like if they were in a fixed location, mine would have been gone a long time ago. But yeah, at least they're trying to, I think they're trying to, take things like that into consideration. People are going to take it off if it's in the way. So if you rotate it, at least you can kind of clear up some space for whatever you're cutting. Time Surfing says, Michigan winter 93 got stranded for like 6 hours in the snow. Yeesh. 93. I wonder if that was part of the blizzard we got in Pennsylvania and New York area in 93. Remember that, Jimmer? Blizzard in 93? Woo! Man. And then we got another one in 94. Yeah, this actually turned into a pretty good discussion, guys. I'm really liking this, shop first aid tips and stuff like that. Again, it's just something that we don't think about a lot, I think. Oh, Time Surfing, I missed your comment. My Canadian friend called the driveway a yard door. Huh. Paul, I rarely use my angle grinder for anything other than shaping bodies. I keep it loaded up with sandpaper flappy discs. I love flap discs. Those sanding flap discs. Man, they work so good. Jimmer says, storm of the century. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Where I lived at that time, we were snowed in for 3 days. And they had to clear our road with a front end loader, big front end loader. Snowplows couldn't get up it. Sam Packin says, I worked in the printing trade, and a lot of guys had missing fingers from getting caught in the press. I survived without losing anything. I've seen some horrific accidents, usually working too fast. Yes, Rick? I know what you mean. You got the opposing rollers, and it's normally pulling in a sheet of paper. If you get your hand in there, it hurts real bad. I pinched my finger in a paper folder, right? A sheet folder. This was a small one, and it was old one. I wish I knew whatever happened to it because it was cool. It wasn't like the fancy stalls or anything like that they have now. But this was the whole thing was cast iron rollers. I had somehow pinched my finger in that up to I don't know. I think it was about up to the first knuckle. Thankfully, it did not. The springs, the rollers on a paper folder are spring loaded. Thankfully, these were not tightened down. I think I was working on it somehow. So maybe I was setting it up. I don't remember exactly. But the springs opened up when it pinched my finger, and I was able to pull my finger out. So, oh yeah, that's wondering why it made me activate the camera. But yeah, my finger turned all black, but I didn't lose anything, and it wasn't horrible. So, but yeah, it was crazy. Sam says, is it true that lasers on saws isn't accurate enough? Sometimes. I've heard that there are some that are accurate and, you know, that will be right on. Let's see if we're going to set this back off. So use hand gestures to turn off the tracking on this camera. Super cool. But yeah, if you have them adjusted correctly, some of them you can get accurately adjusted. Some of them I've heard that you can't. I don't worry too much about them. My drill press even had a laser on it. I took that off because it's easier to just line up the bit. Jim says, made $3,000 shoveling sidewalks. Yeah, 93. We had a lot of snow. Sam says, my DeWalt saw has powerful work lights to illuminate the work area. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And Paul's got to go. Paul says, everyone have a great week and a weekend. Paul, right on. You have a great week too. Hope you get some time to get out there in the shop again. Glad everything's okay with the finger, and hopefully everything heals up quickly and it doesn't really cause you too much issue. But glad you were here. Glad everything's good. So have an awesome week, Paul. Robert says we had a blizzard in 84, had temps in the low 20s and below for about 3 weeks. High winds, 40 miles an hour and above for most of the 3 weeks. Had snow drifts of 5 feet plus. Yeah, that's the snowstorms I miss. That was what we had in 93 in the Northeast. We had a tree line along the house. Well, the tree line's still there, but it's much bigger now. Kind of one of those windbreak privacy type tree lines. But we had 8-10 foot snow drifts where it blew through those trees and drifted into the yard, and we would climb up on top of those, and you could just run and jump off the drifts and just land in, you know, like 3 feet of snow. It was awesome. Robert says, for Oklahoma, that snowstorm is not normal. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's like we don't get that snow here. You know, this past November we got 2 feet. That's not normal. At least I don't think for here. But yeah, it's just crazy. Anyway, that is cool. I got a lot of cool ideas and some things that I need to double check for my shop first aid kit, making sure that, you know, that you're prepared. And I would recommend that everybody take a moment and do the same, right? Just take a look around your shop, your workspace, your home even, and make sure you've got first aid supplies for, you know, for whatever you're needing. Obviously, you know, if you're not using table saws and stuff, you might not need a tourniquet. I don't know, but if you've got the chance, but you never know. You never know, I guess is what I'm saying. So, I don't know. Just take a look. Make sure you're prepared for things. You just never know. Never know. Sam says you can make a small lighthouse from an old roof light. Could, yeah. That'd be kind of neat, a little lighthouse. But anyway, guys, we have about come to the end. This was a really cool discussion. Again, I hate the fact that, you know, somebody got hurt that made me think about this kind of stuff. But a lot of times that's what happens. So again, we take it as a reminder to, you know, check on our own supplies and things. So again, I want to say, be safe, and you know, always don't lose focus when you're working on something, because it takes an instant for something bad to happen. You just never know. So anyway, guys, it's been great. So again, be on the lookout. This project video will be coming out not this weekend, next weekend. This weekend, the project is, I got a drill press hack. Remember the drill press hack that I talked about last week? And Harry Dude does not involve super glue. I mean, hot glue or super glue, I guess. So, so that'll be coming out this weekend. Sandpaper cabinet next weekend. Also, next Sunday, April 13th, I'm going to shout it out again. April 13th in Denver, Colorado is the Colorado Guitar Show and Custom Luthiers Expo. It's a mouthful, but Guitar Show, Denver, I'll be there. We got our tables reserved. We're going to have guitars there. It's super awesome. There's going to be a ton of different vendors, builders, and all kinds of awesome stuff. Again, if you're in the area or can get to the area, I'd love to meet you. Come on out, say hi. And doors open, early bird doors open at 10, regular doors open at 11. I think I got to be there at like 7 in the morning or something. So I got to leave here at like 5:45, something like that. So it's a little over an hour drive. Not terrible. But anyway, I'll be up there. So yeah. Sam says, don't break the TV. Yes, Sam, you remembered. Yeah, I broke it last year. That was horrible. Don't worry, I saved the box for the replacement this year. Saved the box, and I can repack it in there. Oh, another thing. I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about the show. I was considering doing some sort of a live stream from the show. But I want to know from you guys, what, if I were to do that, what would you like to see? A couple of ideas were I could set up a camera. I could set up this camera, you know, just up on a tripod, and just basically have it streaming the floor. I don't know how engaging or exciting that would be, but maybe I could take it down from time to time and, you know, answer questions, comments, or whatever. Or I would just come on for a short time, maybe while I'm walking around and doing a live stream from the floor. Although I think that one would be harder to do because I rarely have time to get out and walk around. My thought was maybe just set it up and basically stream the entire show with short bursts of taking it down to answer questions and stuff like that. I don't know what would be cool. I just know that it is very challenging for me to get away from the booth. Once those doors open, people are in there. It is kind of hard for me to break free and go walk around. I think it would be awesome to just grab the cell phone, go live, and I could walk around and show, you know, some of the different tables, but feasibly, knowing from experience, I'm not sure how feasible, that's the one I was trying to say, that would be. But anyway, if anything like that sounds remotely interesting to you guys, let me know, because I would totally basically bring this setup, set it up on a tripod, and just let the camera stream. Maybe put on the AI tracking, maybe it would move around, I don't know. And then, like I said, once in a while, take it down and just do some answering stuff. So Jim says pre-show walk around. Ooh, that might be cool. Yeah, that I could do. I could do that. As long as we get there early enough, get everything set up, I could go live and we could walk around. Yeah, that's a good idea. That I could do. Then from there, maybe just set the camera up and let it stream. I don't know. Not sure. But just some thoughts that I've been having. I've been trying to think about that. Sam says 360. I don't know where I'm going to be. I think I'm going to probably be against a wall of some sort because I've got electric. I hope I'm against a wall, honestly, but we'll see. I don't know. If I'm out in the middle of the floor, a 360 would be great, but I don't have a 360 camera, so I probably wouldn't be doing that. Robert says, just make it easy on yourself and safe at the show. Imagine just setting it up and working the show might be stressful enough. Once the doors open, honestly, it does get a little bit stressful, just because it's nonstop people. So, you know, once in a while there's a lull, it seems like, and then that's when I try to go out and walk around. But that's why I was thinking, you know, maybe I just set the thing up and we just have like an 8-hour long live stream kind of thing. You know, like I said, it might not be super engaging at times, but I might do it. I might just do it for fun. We could always take the camera down and do some other stuff in between. So, plus I've never done an 8-hour live stream. Might be kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see. But I welcome any and all feedback. But anyway, sorry I got a little long-winded there. Almost forgot about that idea that I wanted to talk with you guys about. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. But again, if anybody's in the area, I would love to be able to meet you. Come on out to the show. It's going to be awesome. Sam says, DJI do a 360. Yes. There's quite a few. I just don't have one. So anyway, guys, thank you for an awesome live stream. I appreciate all of you tuning in, taking some time out of your day, your evening, your night. Hairy dude. And Hairy dude, good luck with the rest of the move. You'll get it. It's gonna go fine. So anyway, you guys, thanks so much. Be on the lookout for the video this weekend. Stay safe. Get on your shops. Have some fun. Build some cool stuff. Be aware of your surroundings. Work safe. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks again. Robert says, everyone's be safe and healthy. Sam says, don't forget to like. Totally free and most appreciated. It is most appreciated. And if you're not, if you're watching this, in the future, maybe, and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to get out of here now and get back to work. So you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Talk to you later. Your stream will stop immediately. You will no longer be live. End. Later, everybody.